Realistically, this is going to be more expensive than you thought it was going to be, but don't shy away now because this part is important. Just get that mental hurdle out of the way and your life is going to be way easier. There are 4 different combos you can get. I think the confusing part is RC2 and RCN3. The basic combo is the drone and an extra battery. The Fly More combo has extra batteries, a charging port, a bag, ND filters. Then there is the Fly More with the nicer smart remote. Then there is the Fly More with the nicer smart remote, and you get the bigger batteries, which last like 43 minutes. It's really important that you get the package that has the smart remote. If there's one thing that I can say, and you only watch 20 seconds of this video, that is it. Unless you fly rarely, the cradle is really going to annoy you. If you fly once a month, you can suck it up and use the peasant remote, but otherwise get the smart remote. I will explain at the end because I don't want to make this entire video about the smart remote. You do need a few accessories to enjoy this thing more in general, but they are not the ones you thought. If you go to Amazon, you will find every accessory that the English language could possibly describe, and all of them, honestly, you kind of screw around with it once and then never use it again. I've used all of them, trust me. 2 things I am really insistent on when you buy a drone. The first one is a second battery. I don't care about 4, 5, 10, whatever, but a second one is very important. One to use while you're flying, and the other one that's going to charge in the car while you're flying. And then when the first one is done, you swap them out. Mini 3 and Mini 4 batteries do work with the Mini 5 Pro, but you don't get the clock in the corner that tells you how much time you have left. You just get the little meter, so you kind of have to guess. The Mini 5 Pro battery is the fastest one to drain out of all the minis. You only get 21 minutes of flight time. It's pretty much the same wattage as the other batteries though, so you're not going to get more by using a 3 or 4 battery. I think it's just the downside of having LiDAR and infrared and all these other things going on with a bigger camera and more powerful image processing. I would never make the trade for a less quality drone though to get more battery life. I would rather just buy another battery. So because the batteries aren't lasting as long, it hasn't made a huge difference to me. I usually get everything I want in one flight anyway, but you could argue buying a third battery because of that and actually using a third battery. Number 2, ND filters. This is to give your footage a more professional film look. ND filters are actually just sunglasses for the camera. It makes things darker so that the shutter can slow down and it needs a little bit more time to let the same amount of light in. That way the frames blend together to get smoother motion instead of having really harsh jagged frames in between, which is exhausting to look at, looking at it in 4K for a long time. You won't notice this as a beginner, but you will want this if you are pursuing this later, and other professionals will notice it. You can get them from Amazon. DJI is going to sell them for about the same price. There really isn't a disparity between the quality of these things. They kind of are all the same. Like, it's not hard to make an ND filter. What I mentioned earlier about charging the other battery while you're flying with the first one, your car's USB-C port isn't strong enough to charge this thing. It's not going to have enough wattage. You have to use the cigarette lighter hole thing and an adapter because this is running off of a stronger current and you can get more wattage out of that. This is something you can buy off Amazon, and usually they come built in with a USB-C cable that will carry the wattage. Otherwise, you can't just use any random USB-C and then wonder why your drone is charging super slow. They're not all made the same, and some of them are like 5 watts charging speed and they don't tell you that. You need to get one that can carry a bigger current. It's not much more expensive, but you do need to remember that when you're buying one, or use the one that just came with the drone. If you really hate the flying time, you can get a bigger battery, the Smart Battery Plus. This will give you up to 52 minutes of flight time, but it's like 42 according to my test, hovering in the Phoenix heat with the collision sensors going off, recording 4K. So if I had more optimal settings and it was cold, it might have lasted longer, but that's about what I got running it dry. The package that comes with the bigger batteries, $1,529 Canadian, that's like $1,100 US. The battery is bigger though, so it makes the drone over 250 grams. That matters if you're in Europe because the Mini 5 Pro is C0 certified. So the regulations change for over 250 grams if rules are something that you like to follow. If you are in the United States, it doesn't matter how heavy the drone is, you are supposed to have a Part 107 certificate if you want to fly for money or for business. If you're just doing this for fun, it doesn't matter if you have an Inspire 2 or a Mini 2, you can pretty much do whatever you want, and the rules are just don't be a dick about it. That's only for business making money that you have to get a Part 107, so don't let that confuse you. The weight isn't as big of an issue in America. So the big debate that remains is, do you want to tack on an extra $100 to get the smart remote? Unless you really need this money, which if you do, why are you buying a drone? If you only fly your drone once a season, I can understand. Just use the cradle, finagle it into place with the other wire. But if the phone battery is dying and it's complicating things, or if your wife's calling asking what this $900 charge is, you've got 3 separate things you have to worry about charging. It doesn't connect as fast. It's kind of an aggravation that slows things down a little bit before you take off, so it doesn't keep you in the best mood. If you plan to pursue this or just use it a lot, you will be so happy you got this smart remote. Removing the third variable, I cannot describe how much joy that puts back into this. Being able to turn on the remote and then turn on the drone, and they connect immediately and just take off. And that's the only thing you have to worry about. The phone screen is so bright you can sit out in broad daylight and use it. It's also huge, so you have a lot more room to look at what you're doing. These things used to be like $800 extra when it first came out to have a dedicated controller just for the drone, and it didn't work as good as the one does now. You can also use these smart remotes with any other DJI drone going forward. So all of them that are coming out in the future, or some of the ones that are out right now, all work with the RC2. When they made the smart remote an applicable, realistic thing for only like 100 extra or whatever it is, this puts so much action back into flying a drone that, like, as much as I do as a tester, flying for DJI, flying for just my own stuff or for work, I still go out on my own on the weekends or just pull over when I see a nice sunset and take off quickly. That's something I wouldn't do before because I just didn't want to deal with the aggravation of pulling out the cradle and then disconnecting Bluetooth from my car and all that. I just noticed myself reaching for it way more now. The Fly More combo comes with the extra batteries and the ND filters in a bag for it. I like that this bag stands up on its own. That's really important to me. And this is like one of the first ones I've seen where it's like has a great square base that will sit up on its own. I think this is still a little bit too big, but that's fine. We're headed in the right direction. A lens cloth to wipe off all the nasty greasy oil you left all over the front of the camera when you were playing with the gimbal. Do this before every flight. Oh my God, it makes no sense to pay for an expensive 4K drone and then leave a big oily filter on the front. And then an SD card. The drone has 42 gigabytes of internal memory, which is great, but use that as a backup, please. It's like $10 for a 64 gigabyte card. You're pretty much like never gonna fill this thing up. And even if you press record, the battery would die before you even finish recording long enough to fill this thing up. When you're done with it, stick it in your computer and copy your files over. But the SD card is like not negotiable. At this point, you can't be stingy when it's $10 like that. It's so silly not to do that. Any brand, they're all the same. There's gonna be old guys in forums who are like, oh, the SD card scam is out to get everyone. You have to be very careful and try find a trusted seller. Who's out here trying to rip people off over $10? Nobody. They, like, of all the hundreds I've used, I've had like one or two ever that have just been a dud or bad, and who knows what was wrong with the electronics or if I left them next to a magnet or something. But basically anywhere you get these from, they're all the same. Make sure it says U3 or A2 on it, and that will mean that it's fast enough to handle the footage. You can't use an old one from like 6 years ago. They're not fast enough these days. If you can absolutely only pick one thing on here to buy, get an extra battery, because that's going to help you a lot when you're like not sitting waiting for 20 minutes for the battery to get a little bit of power left so you can go out and fly again. The second battery would be extremely helpful, especially if you're like out in your car on a road trip or something. So if this is your first drone, the experience is going to be amplified with the extra battery and the smart remote big time. You're going to fly a lot more, which means you're going to get better faster because you like doing this. Even if you regret every decision you've made since birth, these things have such a strangely high resale value. Like, you sell it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and it's almost the same price as a new one. It's the silliest thing. I've never seen this with any other technology, but that's kind of just how it is. If you're an American and you want to smuggle this across the border from Canada or something, it will still fly in the United States. It's not like it won't fly or it'll deactivate because it's in the United States or something. Even if they don't want DJI in the US anyway, they can't undo all the drones that are already allowed to fly here. They just would stop DJI from selling in the future, but anything that's currently flying has already got permission to use all the infrastructure. So the ones we have now, you'll be able to fly until, they drop dead. But if you're already 700 in, an extra 100 makes a really big difference. And then if you want to upgrade later, you always have that option. You can decide that. Good luck.